Hello, everyone. My name is Bruce Erickson. I'm with Purdue University, and I'm here to talk about the legal aspects of farm data. First of all, in terms of defining data, ownership is a little bit different with data, as you probably would suspect, as compared to a more tangible asset, such as a building, land, equipment, or even a farm animal. And so this presents a legal challenge and something that we have to deal with. And of course, we know in the law that you can protect something that, and show ownership of something that you've created originally, such as a patent or a copyright can protect that. We also know that things that people do uniquely, such as if they have a certain pattern of work or they invent a formula or a recipe or something like that, that can be treated as ownership of a trade secret. And so none of these apply perfectly to farm data ownership, but probably the closest one would be a trade secret, because a farmer who collects data from their farm to understand a field's unique characteristics could claim it as a trade secret. So I'm going to go through three examples of three different situations where the ownership of data could be questionable and what a farmer might want to do about that. First of all, a farmer on land that is rented would probably consider that the data generated on that land is theirs, but also the landowner can consider that they own that data as well. And so here's an opportunity to perhaps clarify that. And by doing that, what you might think about would be some kind of an agreement where you define the types of data. Is it yield data? Is it soil test data? Whatever. To establish who is the owner, and then to specify the outcome if the lease is terminated or expires or something like that. Because we do know that data long-term potentially has great value from a piece of land, and so it's worth thinking about this. Another aspect would be if you have a service provider, such as a co-op, come in and spread fertilizer, spray, this kind of stuff. Again, the service provider could think that they are the owner of the data since they're providing the equipment and they have the unique characteristic that they're doing. But again, the farmer might think that they're the owner because they're hiring this other organization to come into their farm or work for hire. So again, any agreement should specify what type of data, how the data will be made accessible from the service provider to the farmer, anything regarding calibration, because the data needs to be good quality in order for this to work, and some other aspects, such as retention and privacy considerations need to be part of that too. Thirdly, what about ag tech service providers? Farmers are sending their data off to companies to analyze that data, and often the thing that makes this relationship different typically than from a service provider or a landowner is that typically the ag tech provider has the agreement existing. It's up to the farmer to take a look at that and see if that's acceptable to them or not. So Farm Bureau has done some work on this, and they have some principles in place on their website. You can see fb.org, you can go to that. Some things to think about would be what happens if the company that you're sending your data to is sold. Can you move it to another company? Can you get your data back? What happens if there's a data breach? Those types of things. As a final thing, I just want everyone to know that there are laws in place that such as the Freedom of Information Act from the federal government and state and local laws that sometimes apply where your data could be subject to disclosure. And typically this is if you are working with the government or receiving government money, those types of things. Of course, personal information, trade secrets, financial information are not a part of that, but just be aware in these particular situations. So overall, the key takeaways would be that data is not well defined, like something tangible, like an animal or land or something like that. Think about the opportunity in farm leases and service agreements, and with ag tech providers, some things to consider would be the portability and what happens when companies change and those types of things. And just be aware of the Freedom of Information Act and state and local laws that may impact your data too. One final thing, I'd just like to thank the contributions of Todd Jansen and Jansen Ag Law, who provided considerable help with this presentation. So now what I'd like to do would be to ask you as a participant a question. And the question is, do you have a data agreement with any of your landowners?